So this year is going to be an incredibly huge election year, right? So this video is about the showdown between current president Donald J. Trump. Okay, everything's going to be fantastic, and Mr. Joe Biden, who clearly has dementia. Okay, so you got a presidential candidate, Joe Biden, who clearly has dementia. Okay, he forgets where he's going all the time, and I kind of have a feeling that when Joe was hanging out in his basement for so long and never came out into the public to be seen by any single person except for his family, I bet you he thought he was in the White House already. Okay, I bet you he was in the White House, having such a grand time when realistically he was just in his basement. Okay, because he's one of those guys where if you ask him what he had for breakfast this morning, he'll just start describing a situation that he thought he was in about 15 years ago. All right, so that's not really the guy who I want to have as a president. But if you look on the other hand, you have Donald Trump, who, I don't really know if he runs his actual Twitter account or if he has like some kind of person run it for him. But either way, we have a president who loves to tweet, obviously, a lot, and has a hard time discerning what to tweet, when to tweet it, how to say it, right? And so, you have tweeting Trump and basement Biden going at it this year, and I've done 2 videos already, but I want to say, this stuff again is that, you have 2 candidates that, again, have some form, some shape of experience in this form of setting, right? Because, the presidential candidacy, the presidential job is a job that, is essentially the most important job you'll ever have, right? This makes essentially a CEO of some corporation kind of look like a joke, because the president of the United States is it's essentially the most powerful position you can ever have, right? And it's the most powerful position that someone will ever have in their lifetime. And at this point in time, 45 people can say, that they're the most important person in the world, right? Essentially going back all the way to George Washington, and then going up all the way up to now with not Joe Biden, hopefully, because hopefully he forgets what he's talking about all the time, right? So Joe Biden, we'll see, but it goes all the way up to currently Donald Trump. So, it's important that we all talk about the upcoming election, because, this is a huge election, right? Because you got Joe Biden, the basement Biden, forgetful Joe, who has been in politics, for essentially his whole entire career, right? And so, that on paper that would sound good. On paper that would sound good. Right now that would sound good too, right? As I talk about it, but it's like one of those things where Joe has all of these years of experience in our United States government, and yeah, it's one of those questions where you ask yourself right in this moment, and I ask this to myself in this moment: what has he done? Right? Where has Joe really come in? Like, it's really one of those things where nothing really huge comes to mind. And I figured after all, decades and decades of experience in our American government, it's shocking that not one big thing has really stood out. So when you see the name Joe Biden, what has really stood out for his name? And it's like really nothing. It's like yeah, it's cool, you've done some work with Hillary Clinton 20 years ago, when was something so small and probably insignificant that right now it doesn't even matter. Sweet, great, cool. Way to go, Joe. And I bet you Joe completely forgot what it was about right now. Like, I bet you he doesn't even remember. Whereas on the other hand, with the opposing candidate, Donald Trump, we all know him as that tough leader, right? When you hear Donald J. Trump, tough leader, tough businessman, tough to get deals done with, right? Because he expects to have, such a tough, perfect deal that, and he knows how to run a business, right? And obviously everybody loves to bring up the fact that, Donald Trump has lost, millions upon millions of dollars, due to like one deal. He was in freaking real estate, okay? So if you're telling me you're such a perfect leader and you haven't lost a penny in that every single move that you've done throughout your life and every single thing that you've said was perfect, then okay, go on ahead and run for president. Great. And I can guarantee you that you're watching this right now and you're saying, oh, well, nobody's perfect, but, Donald has to be perfect. It's like, obviously nobody's perfect. And how in the world can you expect Donald J. Trump to be perfect? Like, there's no such thing as a perfect human being, and therefore, there's no such thing as a perfect leader. Okay? Each and every single one of us makes mistakes. So if you expect somebody to go in there and do every single thing perfectly, and guess what? Yeah, the president has multiple advisors in multiple different areas. That's obvious. But guess what? Their little booties aren't perfect either, okay? Those leaders in our government, yeah, they may have great experience, sure. If you look at some of our generals, they might have great experience within our military. But, they make some decisions, again, that may not be perfect. It may relate to some of their personal, opinions and all that, sure. But it may not be the perfect decision for that particular moment of time, right? So we're constantly in situations where we have to make this. We're given opportunities to make decisions, and guess what? Every single decision that we make throughout our lifetime is not going to be perfect. So don't tell me that you expect somebody to be perfect. And guess what? I'm going to bring this argument back again. The job of the United States, the job of the President of the United States is the most important job that you will ever have. Period. I don't care if you're a garbage collector. I don't care if you're a CEO of the company. I don't care if you work in a grocery store. And I don't care if you're some just average senator or congressman in the government, okay? The President of the United States, it has the most power and has the most decisions in anywhere, any phase of the game, in any job around the country, okay? And around the globe for that matter. And guess what? It's tough because, if a decision is made and the nation goes with a certain decision, a lot of the citizens within the United States of America isn't going to look at a senator who voted for that particular decision. We're not going to look at a congressperson who voted for that particular decision. We're going to look at the president and be like, oh, Mr. President, why did you make that decision? It's like, well, the president might have helped make form the decision, but guess what? You've got it's all about the checks and balances. So you've got, the House and the Senate, both sides, voting on whether they want it to be an actual thing or not. So it's not just the president that's putting, ideas, into law, right? You've got the whole checks and balances system. So guess what? Everything you see is not just the president, right? So like I said, Donald Trump is a businessman. He makes tough deals, okay? And, it's all about, and I've really actually kind of enjoyed watching him the last 4 years conduct, his presidency. Because for such a long period of time, the United States has been ripped off by a ton of terrible, terrible deals. Okay, we've had a ton of jobs that has left the United States to go to Mexico or China or anywhere else around the globe. Okay, and a ton of jobs means the loss of a ton of big companies, right? And the loss of a ton of big companies and the loss of a ton of jobs means a loss of a ton of money that we're not making, therefore not going back into the United States system to invest in things like infrastructure, education, and this and that and the other thing, right? So I've loved how Donald Trump has been able to really say, like, hey, we need to bring those jobs back, right? We need to bring back, the automobile industry. We need to bring this industry and that industry and those jobs and these jobs. And so, obviously, the automobile industry, the manufacturing industry, the infrastructure industry and all that stuff, right? We need to bring all those back, right? And I loved how he did the whole tax reform, the whole tax reform, tax cuts. So that way, all the money that we save from, not having to spend it on taxes, we can therefore take that money and invest it and not only make more money for ourselves, but we can invest that money into American companies like Amazon, Google, Facebook, and Boeing. The list goes on and on. So we can invest that in American companies. So therefore, those companies can make more money. Therefore, America can make more money. And again, America can invest that money into other things like I was just talking about, right? And then on top of that, like I just said, we can make more money, therefore making ourselves much more wealthier in the long run. So you've got a Trump and Biden showdown, okay? So this election cycle is going to be the showdown of the ages, I think. Like, this will be one of the biggest elections, I think, that I'll face in my lifetime, okay? Because you've got a politician who's been a politician for essentially his whole entire life, right? And which can be a good thing, but again, I raise up the question, what has Biden named? Like, what is one big thing that Joe Biden can put his name on that he's accomplished on his own in his lucrative and extensive political career, right? And then on the flip side, you've got current President Donald J. Trump, who's running for re-election for the next 4 years, who's a business guy, a great deal maker, and within 4 years, he's accomplished a hell of a lot more than, again, most politicians have in their lifetime. So that's my video about the showdown of the ages between Donald J. Trump and Joe Biden. So take or leave it. I hope you enjoyed it. And remember, whenever there's a vote going on in your town, your state, or when there's the presidential election, make sure you go out and vote.